I always call it simultaneously the most exhausting, exhilarating experience on the planet, and it continues to be.
The experience Amy Gambrell is referring to is only a reality because of a series of decisions that were made back in the early 1980s. Jill Marconi and Amy Gambrell were complete strangers who were about to answer each other's wishes.
The actual words my husband said to me were, "I would like to have a family," and I said, "No matter where it comes from," and Bill said, "No matter where it comes from."
I was 19 years old and I found out that I was pregnant and was not married at the time, and I was shocked. I was devastated. I was afraid. I didn't tell anybody within my family, and just the birth father, and we talked it over, and he was supportive in whatever choice I wanted to make. So it just so happened that at that time, neighbors across the street were adopting a little girl. And when I saw how happy they were and how this little baby was going to have two sets of very happy grandparents, I wanted that for my child and decided that adoption was the way to go.
With help from Catholic Charities, a match was made. Jill's son would become Matthew Gambrell. No information was shared between the two families, but Matt started asking questions. The first real question came at age 2.
He was playing in his room, and I was sitting in a chair, and he said to me, "Where was I before I was born?" And I said, "You were in your birth mother's tummy." And that day, that worked. You know, that day he continued to play.
The days and years passed, and at the age of 28, Matt had grown into a successful lawyer who had fallen in love. A good friend sent Matt's birth mother a letter on Matt's behalf, asking for a meeting.
Every year when I went to see Dr. Van Rees, I always asked him, "Do you think he'll ever come to find me?" And he said, "Most children do. Most of the women that I've worked with, their children do come to find them." So I always had that hope. And then when I got this letter, just unbelievable. Especially when later on in the letter, it talks about the fact that it says, "I imagine it may be difficult to recall your emotion and concerns when you chose to offer your child for adoption, but if you were at all concerned that he be raised in a loving, supportive household, please have comfort in knowing he was part of an exceptional environment." And that's all I ever wanted for him. And when I met Matt's family, I found out that this is absolutely true.
The two families have merged into one over the past decade. That bond was the inspiration for Matt and his wife Megan to continue this tradition of unconditional love. Meet Allison Gambrell. She was placed for adoption with Matt and Megan just a few weeks ago.
Well, I think that Matt's situation will be really good for her because he'll know how to talk to her about it, and you know, he's been through the same thing. It'll be the same. She'll always know she was adopted. We're going to be sending letters and pictures to the birth mom throughout her life so she knows what she's up to. Yeah, what are you planning to tell her?
Everything. I'll tell her that everybody loves her and that's why she's here. They gave her up as an act of love, and we took her in as an act of love.